that has hindered the efficient settlement of the account payables. A portion of the amount has been put into consideration for settlement during the current financial year through the approved budget. Chair, if we go to Appendix 2, you will see the pending bills movement schedule, but counties continue to grapple with the issue of pending bills because of a number of things, Chair. Sometimes on-source revenue shortages, remittances from the National Treasury that always come at the last week of the financial year cause all this, but we continue to strive to pay for the services that we procure from Kenyans. Thank you, Chair. I submit.
Auditor General, what's your comment on that response?
Chair, we received the schedules and we shall be subjecting whatever has been paid to audit during the financial year 2025-2026 to confirm what has been paid and what is still outstanding. Thank you, Chair.
Honourable members, I bring your attention to note 32, which has been cited by the Auditor General. And what are these other payables worth 1.5 billion? In note 32. I think that's a question for the county. Could you just explain to us what are these other payables? We are not used to seeing that. That grew from 600,000 to 1.5 billion in a year.
Chair, can I go ahead?
Yes.
The item we are showing as the grand total of 1.5 billion were basically payments made after the closure of the financial year. This is a situation where the financial year ends before the National Treasury releases money for, or released money for May and June. That is totaling to 728,587,241.75. So these were salaries that spilled over into the following financial year due to delays of disbursement. On the same breath, when the remittances for the month were released after the closure of the year, there were money for operation and maintenance that amounted to 388,353 and 834.90 cents as money that again we made payment after the closure of the year. And finally, money for development again for May and June were released after the financial year. So it is the three items: salaries, operation and maintenance, and development payables that came after the financial year resulted in that payment. I submit, Chair.
Auditor, from an accounting perspective, wouldn't salaries be reported under employee payables? Because employee payables there is blank. Is it proper to lump up salaries, operations, development as other payables?
Chair, ordinarily they should be under compensation of employees.
Yeah, because that then does not give us proper visibility on the details of your outstanding payments, because it would look like you owe employees nothing. Is it a fact that there is absolutely no outstanding amount relating to employees, be it pensions, be it gratuities, be it statutory remittances?
Just maybe two, okay.
Is it a fact? Because here employee payables is zero. Is that a factual position, that you have nothing outstanding to do with pensions, even defunct local authorities, nothing outstanding to do with gratuities, nothing outstanding to do with statutory remittances?
Chair, that is not a fact. We have pending remittances of pensions and other deductions, so it's not a fact.
Where do we see that in this financial statement? Because one does not need to travel to Kajiado. You just need to look at these financial statements to understand the entity. So where do we see those figures here?
Let me ask my technical team, with your permission, Chair, to do that, because the fact is that we have some of unremitted such deductions. Joshua, let me ask the Chief Accountant to do that.
Thank you, Chair. In respect to the question that you asked about the non-remittance, or if there is anything due on salaries and wages in terms of pensions, as the Governor has said, it is true there are some figures, and maybe by the time of audit, we didn't have the exact position in terms of pensions and other deductions, but majorly the only thing that might remain outstanding maybe is pension, but a bigger percent like PAYE, SHA, and all other deductions have been paid. Maybe the only thing, maybe by the end of the financial year, is pension that is due.
Look, my question is this. The Governor is serving his last year in office, and we wish him well in his future political pursuits. A new governor comes in and inherits this financial statement. How does he know that the entity owes employees some amount? Where will he find that information in the financial statements?
He might not find it in the financial statement, true, but after the year has ended, we always have, because the issue of pension has been a recurring issue over the years, even before devolution. Like the county council, it has been a recurring issues that have never been reconciled up to date. So it is true, but we cannot be able to.
Officer,
yes.
give me factual, scientific responses, not political responses. If it's not here, you say it's not here, and you say you are going to reconcile and report in subsequent periods.
It is true.
The governor has said, as a matter of fact, that you owe pensions, you owe some amounts, and we understand. You have reported zero here, which does not provide an accurate picture of the entity. So your job was to show us in these financial statements where we can get that figure. If it's not there, you say it's not there, and we take a view.
Yeah, it's true it's not there, but Chair, we'll make sure that these financial year's statements, we must include the all outstanding statutory that have not been paid or remitted.
Yeah, so Governor, you cannot not know. You cannot not know how much you owe employees. You cannot not know. Because that must be the first, I believe when you're way back when you're still in the industry as an executive, you would say that employees come first, isn't it? Because they're the ones who deliver service and they're the ones you rely on. You cannot be in a situation where you do not know what you owe your employees. So I think, Auditor General, that's a question you ought to have asked. In fact, that's a question that should have featured here as a very serious non-conformance. Before we even go to what you owe to other service providers. So, members, I think we have had the submission, but Senator Maruma, then Senator Cherargei.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'm also looking at the trade payables amounting to 2.6 billion. Have you aged them? Do you have any aging analysis of this 2.6 billion owed to contractors and suppliers? Do you have them anywhere? Have you aged them?
Yes, it is.
Requirement from the control budget.
Yes, it has been aged and it is attached there. The aging analysis of 2.6 billion.
You have them here?
Yes, it is in Annex 2.
Annex 2?
Yes.
Okay. Point me to them. Annex 2, page what?
Chair, when you take the file, you will notice some paper separating the pages. So it is the first annexure. After inaccuracies, the next annexure is the one we are calling annexure 2. So you'll see it on confirmed trade and other payables.
Okay, the print is very small.
Financial statements.
The print is very small, but do you have any that are more than you came to office in 2017, before 2017? Do you have any here? Because where you started from the year ending ending 1st July 2024. What about the ones that are before this year, ending 2020, June 2023? And the print is so small. You've just started from 2024, July.
Chair, if
July.
you look at page 1, you will see, the aging for the current financial year showing 2022-2023 starting there. Then you go to first year, second, third, it proceeds like that. So you will see at the third column from the top, that we have indicated the financial years.
So how much are the
Yeah,
pending
and,
bills before 2023? Maybe is it possible to know for the trade and trade payables before 2023, before this schedule? Is it possible to know?
Thank you. Let's go, Chair, to the last page. I am being guided here. We have totals. If you look at the totals, the time you're asking, you will see a figure of 233,859,510. Then year 1, 2, you see 367,081. Then you proceed until now. You will come and find a grand total showing the 100% at 2.6, 2,649,517,375 and 75 cents.
So what are the plans to pay the 233 million? Are they verified pending bills, the 233 million, 859,510.89? Sorry. Are they verified? What are the plans for you to pay these pending bills?
We have a pending bills committee chaired by the head of internal audit, and the verification is a continuous process. While say the older ones have been verified, the incoming bills continue to be verified as we move on. So we have a committee that deals with the pending bills verification, Chair. Thank you.
Senator Chirake.
Thank you, Chair. Governor, two quick things. One, I've realized that there was an astronomical growth in your aging analysis, note number 32 or 56%, that is around 2,348,278,933 and 1 year. What were you doing to ensure there is growth? And I've seen there was also another growth in 1 to 2 years of 823,532 to 83, and over 3 years, considering that you are serving your second and final term, 812,164,056, that's 19%. Why was this one an astronomical growth in under 1 year? What were you doing? Are there multi-year projects or what have you? And then the over 3 years, this is a pending bill. While I agree counties are struggling with the pending bill, it also kills most of the businesses within our counties. So give me justification on that. I've gone to your next chair that you have provided. That will be my question number 2. I've seen the analysis that you have done here. The payments that you have made and the balance that is there. Pending balance you have said is 1,205,746,902.03, and it comes to grand total of 2,649,517,375.7 shillings. So looking at this analysis, I can see one, the office of the governor, which has 35 million, and then an interesting item there is the county attorney of 340,409,155, Was this part of the contingent liabilities that is allocated to the county attorney, and why that exponential, that is one of the highest pending bill? What underscores that? I've heard you have the county attorney. My third and final question, Governor, you have responded to the Vice Chair on aging analysis, and you have said first in, first out. My only concern is, what about the amount that you need to pay? Because I can see there are some small amounts of 1,000 shillings, and I suspect these are small businesses. Why were you not being fair to these small businesses of offsetting small? Like I can see in one of your nextures, just an example, being payment of grading and maraming of Bash, Katukukoi, Fountain Road under Tishol Ventures. That was in the financial year, you have said analysis of 23-24. They still owe the county only 1,000 shillings. Why don't you offset this small money? Because if you are having small money of less than $1 million, I want to believe these are small kiosk-like businesses, that if you keep staying with them, you are technically shutting down most of these businesses. I've seen 597,000 of Sinlam Ventures Limited, and a number that is below $1 million. Apart from first in, first out, what is the justification that you still even low as low as 1,000 shillings, which you are provided in the aging analysis? Chair, yield back the mic. That will be my three.
Governor, you may respond.
Thank you, Chair. Please, let me ask the CC Finance to weigh in a little, and Joshua, the head of accounts, to clarify. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate the question on why the pending bills are going up, but it's as a result of the county failure to meet the revenue collection, which was actually was not able to meet, and also the delay in remittances. But what I can say is on the aging analysis, the 812 million, which was over 3 years, this last financial year, we had a pending bill of around 615 million. And out of the 615 million, 342 million, we actually went to reduce the 3 years and above pending bills in a way of trying to reduce the amount. And also, Chair, what we have resolved this financial year is that we will deal with any pending bill which is 2 million above and below must be cleared at all costs, so that we allow the small businesses, people, to be able to have enough capital to do business. And also we are determined to see that we curb the increase of pending bill by ensuring that we introduce a more accurate and robust revenue collection system, which we have actually implemented this last financial year. You can allow my director also to wait on it.
Okay, quick, be very quick.
My question was simple, Governor. Why the astronomical growth of 56% under 1 year? Is it because of dip in revenue? I just need one straight answer for efficiency.
Thank you, Chair. I think the biggest challenge we have in the county is not meeting revenue targets, which resulted to pending bills increasing year in, year out. So that is actually the main reason why there is an escalator of pending bills year in, year out. So I think for me, and I think Governor has already tried to address that issue by having a new revenue system in place. And I think the Director of Revenue she's here. And she can allude that this financial year, the year that just ended, we are hoping that our revenue will go up. And as per the figures of last quarter, we know that the figures in the new revenue system will help us clear some of the pending bills that have been raised.
Are we answering the same question, really? Because, Governor, initially you said the 1.5 billion under other payables was a result of some delayed exchequer release. Yes. I thought that would then be the contributor, the major contributor to the growth in pending bills. Are we answering the same question?
Chair, you are correct. In fact, the astronomical bit he's asking about, I thought I'll have my team help me. It looked like they are putting me more in trouble than helping, so I think I'll have to do it myself. Chair and Honorable Chair Gay, you can see that from the 1.5 billion that the development money came after the financial year. So automatically that will show that there is a huge increase in pending bills because that money was never expended. So I really think that's really the answer to this looking astronomical, but you can see that immediately after that, then the money was released and the payments were made, but the accounting now will reflect in the next financial year. Thank you, Chair.
And I think to
Senator Morum,
just to answer, Governor, then it is incumbent upon you to show that there was late exchequer release that necessitated this growth of, for example, other payables from 614,821 to 1.5 billion by giving a bank statement that this is what we received after the close of the financial year. And then also give schedules of what has been paid. Salaries, this amount, then you easily answer this question.
You are well guided, Chair.
now I've perused the resolution of the Assembly, and I was asking myself, if the Assembly is the one that does budgets, shouldn't you have made provisions or recommended that a budget be set aside to settle the long outstanding pending bills, especially the ones over 3 years? I think that could have been an additional actionable recommendation from your committee. I've seen, the recommendations that you've made, but I just want to suggest, or maybe the Senate will make those kind of recommendations, but ultimately it is you as members of County Assembly to ensure that there's a budget. Because the debt over 3 years seems to be growing from 673 to 812. And if you owe anyone money for 3 years, it is unfair. It is very unjust. It does not matter what the reasons are. The schedule you've attached here indicates people are owed money for jobs done in 2018-2019. Why would that be? Why would you have someone looking for money from 2018-2019?
Chair, let me first of all confirm that every financial year, together with the County Assembly, we allocate what we consider a substantial amount of money into pending bills. 700 million, 800 million, we do it every financial year. But I would like, Chair, to refer to Honorable Sifuna's comment about devolution. We very strongly feel that there is need for a bigger conversation on devolution and how remittances, how money is allocated, and the shareable revenue that goes to county. We have this crisis because the counties continue to receive functions without commensurate resources. We have this problem because some of these grants that are given to counties, the passing, the approval, the awarding, many a time tire those who are supporting the counties. So I think, Chair, while we are well guided about this, there is a bigger need for a conversation about devolution. We continue in this trajectory, in the next few years we will kill devolution. As long as devolution continue to receive money 5 years behind the current financial year and more in the name of audited accounts, that actually means that counties are getting less than 10% of the entire national budget every year. And so while we have a good number of things to answer here, the pain of the commitment of the country to devolution, and I'm glad you're in Senate because you have been steadfast in fighting for this devolution, continue really to undermine the spirit of devolution. Thank you, Chair.
I would want to encourage, Governor, and we have seen this in other jurisdictions, even in South Africa, which has a fairly similar system, or even in the UK, where devolution is now a matter that is a national matter, with the new Prime Minister designate coming from Manchester, coming to be the Prime Minister. He has revived the conversation around devolution. Counties in Kenya are becoming lazy because they know that Parliament shall appropriate and send them money. Most municipalities survive on locally generated revenue. Rates, you have Amboseli, and we shall come to that conversation. If all these things would be optimized, then you don't need to go begging in Nairobi. And I think that's a broader conversation that is not just specific to Kajiado. But I think when we come to the revenue sources, we'll ask how far we have gone with Amboseli. We'll ask how far we have gone with Magadi. We'll ask whether you're optimizing your rates from property, from land, because those would be the sources of wealth for Kajiado. That Kajiado, Nairobi, and a few other counties, Mombasa, would not have to beg or kneel down to a national executive because you've got autonomy through locally generated revenues. So I think it's just a broad conversation, but I feel that governors in Kenya are becoming lazy because they know that year in, year out, Parliament will debate and money will come. And so we are not doing enough to collect locally. But we shall see that when we come to the revenue statements.
I really pray that we don't lose that conversation on Amboseli and Magadi, because while some county functions are called county functions, sometimes the lack of commitment by the national government to enforce on rogue investors completely leave the counties, having their hands tied. Remember, our devolution was watered down when we took away, services like police service and prisons and all those enforcement out of counties so that counties have no such support mechanism. If I may just very quickly go to Magadi, the court ruled, the Senate ruled that Magadi pays the county of Kajiado 11 billion. Magadi found a way to hibernate with the national government saying it is arbitration or it is this court or this is happening. So we are not working in a coherent way as a country between counties and national government, and then rogue investors find an in-between route to find safety. And therefore I agree with you, some counties actually have sufficient revenue sources to run their counties, but that aspect is undermining it. I'm sure you have seen Amboseli in the headlines, but we'll get to that conversation when we come.
Okay. Senator
Chair, there's something you have said that is borderline upsetting to me. Whether indeed this system called devolution was not something that Kenyans gave unto themselves and whether it is not a constitutional imperative. Personally, and I'll get into a lot of problems, but we have to say what we have to say.
We all get a lot of problems for defending the position.
Governor, your problems will be more than mine. I'm just saying.
Let me be the regulator on
Yes,
how much problem it will cause.
Chair, if something is a constitutional imperative, and you have a national executive there, and we've gone through this conversation, for instance, Governor, you raise a valid point. We are still using the audited accounts of 3-5 years ago. I did the math, it is about 500 billion behind, which is denying counties, if you applied just 15% on that, almost 60 billion Kenya shillings, and it will resolve some of these issues. Secondly, there's a question of disbursements in terms of the regularity and predictability of that, disbursement. We have argued in the Senate that that disbursement schedule that we pass is of no use, because it's supposed to give governors and county executives some level of comfort that on the 15th of each month we will receive exchequer release. But when John Badi, for instance, comes to the Senate, he says that, that thing is just there as a guide and that Treasury has to look at exchequer and so on and so forth. But we don't hear the same complaints when it comes to national government entities. Somehow their budgets never delay. I've never had the State House Comptroller, you've read, crying that State House has not received. In fact, the reports we see is that they have actually expended their monies way in advance, 9 months into the financial year. So we have tried to push that argument, Governor, that somehow that national treasury thinks it's a national government treasury, that the priorities of national government institutions actually are higher placed than the county governments. Some of us believe that it doesn't matter which geniuses you have in the county governments. If the national government is out to frustrate devolution, they will do it. And you will find these people sometimes struggling. Just even here in Nairobi, Senator, if you don't know when you're going to be paid? How do you know when you'll pay your rent, how your kids will go to school? It is very difficult to plan, which is why we believe, some of us, the solution to devolution, the biggest threat to devolution is at State House, and that's where we're going, so that we can be able to resolve that problem.
Yeah, I think now you're getting into problems. Let Chair regulate it.
Chair, you know, in our standing orders, there is what we call relevance. I don't think this committee is a platform for campaigns, but let me leave it there. I know Sifuna has other better forums than using this committee to advance his own agenda, but we will listen to him and we'll answer him in other fora, not here. Chair, my only concern was this 340 million that was in this annex number 2. And Governor, when we'll come to receiver of revenue, I will also have something to say, especially on the issue of Magadi and Amboseli, but I hope when we are on receiver on revenue, Chair, you'll have. But my only concern, if you look at the pending balance as of 30th June 2025, the office of the county attorney was 0. Until some time, they got a pending balance of 340 million for 9,155. And we know the issue of contingency liabilities and legal pending bills. You remember Nairobi, one of our colleagues had a pending bill of 1.1, was it 1.1 billion legal fees. So I really want to understand, Governor, what is it? Because it's the highest pending balance as 30th June 2025 in the year under review. And then there is your office of the governor was nil until it appeared with 35,044,479. Give us the justification. And what we call County Public Service Board at 000 until it appeared with 30,382,667. That will be re-emphasizing what the justification of this growth. Secondly, I don't know whether I heard your CCM that on the settling of pending bills below 1 million, it should be given priority. In as much as they might be the aging analysis that has come from different year. Finally, I've heard your reason is on delay exchequer releases and shortfall in revenue. I don't know, you know, it's hard to tie up since we have not gone to receiver of revenue. But I thought the budget is based on the planning and program based in the budgeting. So that if you know you are giving a project, you give with the resources that you have. And that is why there was this issue of EGP. And we were arguing that you cannot procure without having resources. So what do you have to say about that? On the issue, finally, Chair, while I agree counties are struggling with pending bills, I know that it's approaching 200 billion. The Constitution is very clear, Article 219. When money is passed, it should be released without undue delay. And you remember the former CS Ukuri Yatani, we had to censure him in the last session for delay your former colleague Ukuri Yatani. So it is a constitutional issue. But on the issue of latest audited accounts, I think as a parliament we should blame ourselves, because it is the National Assembly who does that job. It is not you as the governors or as the Senate. So we should blame ourselves, especially our colleagues in the law house, of the latest audited accounts. Because you have to appreciate one thing, by the way, let me add this. Us in the Senate, Chair, and you are aware, we were pushing for more than 450 billion. It is after the member of ODMSG Sifuna went and decided that the counties must be given 428 billion, and they were adding 1 billion each, 1 billion after every time. So I think we have a broader. No, I'm saying
you are making a very good point, but I think you are losing it.
No, I'm saying as a
with that
Senate,
reference to ODM.
No, I'm saying the member of Sifuna, because he's still the SG unless he resigned. So the point I'm trying to make is that because I heard him saying former party when he was congratulating the MCS or former. So, Chair, what I'm trying to say, let us leave that one, ignore that, Chair, is as a Senate, we have really tried to ensure that there is enough resources for counties. But the question is, even if we allocate, is it viability of getting your own money in good time to ensure you expend before the end of financial year? I think that's the conversation you should advise your colleagues, especially when you are COG retreat, so that we can have a united force to make a better devolution. So we'll have my 3 questions.
I think you asked specific questions on growth in the county attorney, the governor's office, and the county public service board. I think let's just deal with that, Governor.
Thank you, Chair. Let me ask the county attorney who is here to speak into that. And sorry, how does he step out? Sorry, Chair. I will ask Parsita to take up the governor's office and county public service board.
Yeah, please, because members, we are not doing very well in terms of time. Yeah, please just state your name again and your designation, then.
Thank you, Chairman. Richard Parsita, Director Internal Audit. The question was
do you need to be reminded of the question?
yes.
But why are you standing if you don't know the question?
I've had the issue of zero balances and then open and then again growing balances. Because I think when you are checking on the schedule.
Governor?
Chair, we are lost. I'll leave Parsita alone. Joshua and I will take the questions quickly. Yes.
Well, Chair, about the issue of penny bills that have been asked about the governor's office and the public service board. I mean the public service board. Normally, these are not development current bills. It is current bills occasioned by the operation and maintenance that the county runs. And for example, the office of the governor does some of the functions, and because of the shortfall in our revenues, and we're not able to pay up the operation and maintenance as has been procured, that occasioned the escalation of penny bills under the current expenditure. So whatever you see there in that schedule is as a result of the operation and maintenance expenditures that have been procured, and the county is not able to pay it in full given the reasons of shortfall in revenues and exchequer releases coming late at the tail end of the financial year. So about the legal, let me give the county attorney to say.
Yeah, please, very precise, direct answers.
Thank you, Chair. My response is very clear. The fee or the amount that was pushed to my office does not belong to, is not a fee note or legal fees. That is a contingent liability that the county government inherited from the defunct local authority.
Those are contingent liabilities?
Yes.
So they should not be trade payables?
They are not, because someone was asking, I think the Honorable Senator for Nandi was asking whether that is a scenario that appeared in Nairobi. We have not had a budget of legal fees that exceed 100 million. So that is a contingent liability belonging to the famous Kilimanjaro case, the hotel that is in Amboseli that became a swamp. And the first county government did accept it as a liability. And that liability should not have borne by the county government. It should have been part of the liabilities that were...
County attorney,
there is nil in contingent.
There is a schedule that you have attached. And on that schedule, there is a long list of fee notes where it is not paginated, but members, if you go through the last schedule before you go to Annex 5, you'll see a long list of fee notes, provision of legal services. There is one legal services to Beacon Njoroge and Company Advocates, Kajiado High Court Petition number 2 of 2019. It's clearly indicated as a fee note of 207 million. So you can't have this listed as a fee note and then you deny it and say they are contingent liabilities. Are these actual liabilities that have matured, or these are still matters pending determination?
Chair, and in addition, so that he can answer, but looking at their financial statements, they have not disclosed the contingent liabilities.
Yeah, so let's agree that what we are looking at are these contingent liabilities, or these are mature obligations, because those two are different.
Thank you, Chair. I didn't have this column of the reporting, but what I can tell you is our legal fee budget for the year has never exceeded 100 million every year.
So
what we have here, we have.
Attorney, I'm sorry, with a lot of respect.
Okay.
What we make of this schedule, because it has been submitted to us, tabled by the governor, I believe in good faith, to indicate the situation. And you've got one page, a full page of fee notes. If you add it all up, a quick summation will bring it to probably 300 million.
And I can also agree that fee note could come up to that amount.
Yeah.
But every time we pay a fee note, we don't exactly pay what they ask for. It has to be itemized, and there is a schedule I submitted to finance, so maybe this one will clarify the issue. I submitted pending obligations we have in terms of lawyers who have offered services to the county. I also submitted a list of taxed bills. By the time the lawyer taxes a bill, you have fallen out, the relationship, and the bill has been taxed. But there were, I think, around 60 million.
So what are the outstanding mature obligations from the legal, arising from legal fees?
They could be more than 400.
More than 400?
Yes.
And contingent liabilities? The ones that are still in
contingent liabilities could go to maybe more than 500.
Of course, I think Senator Cherargei has indicated that has not been disclosed in the financial statements. Did we make that disclosure in the financial statements on contingent liabilities?
Chair, looking at the financial statements, they have not disclosed even in page 50 of the original certificate.
Auditor General, was there disclosure on contingent liabilities?
Chair, there's no disclosure.
Okay. Governor?
On the contingent liability, Chair and honorable members, we have one long outstanding dispute between the county government and a company.
No, sorry. Without going to the details, was that disclosure made in the financial statements?
I think it's not captured here.
It is a requirement. It is a requirement that contingent liabilities should be disclosed.
Okay.
The way I asked earlier, how would another governor know that these are the matters that are still pending in court? They can only know if it is disclosed in the financial statement. So that needs to be done. Now, coming back to the question on pending bills, I think the attorney, you confused us by saying that what we are seeing are contingent liabilities, and yet they're listed as fee notes that seem to be mature and that seem to be outstanding for payment. Could you just tell us in totality how much in your 4 billion pending bills relates to legal fees and awards, Governor?
I agree earlier on, Chair, that we normally make a provision for pending bill payments to every financial year for 100 million. And I also concur that what we are seeing there is a list of due payment for legal services provided for. Possibly, I'll not be able to say precisely or with precision the figure itself, but we have a number of unpaid legal services. You know, some are still disputed, some have been agreed upon, and some keep coming. As you know that in Kajiado we have quite a bit of a tussle with regard to lands and many issues. So the list we are seeing are for legal services not honored. So the cure will be to allocate more money into that vote. Thank you, Chair.
Senator Cherargei, so that we move out of this matter.
Yes. Looking at the time, in conclusion, Chair, I think the governor can disclose how much, whether the contingent liability and legal awards. But this is a a material non-disclosure in financial statements. Chair, and I've gone to see who signed off this financial statement, a gentleman called Sangaire Tima. I hope he's not related to our own Tima. He's a chief officer of finance and was signed off by, unfortunately, he doesn't have an ISPAC number. I don't know which profession he is, Tima. Your chief officer, is he still with you, Governor? Sangaire Tima?
He's with me. He's not here, but he's the chief officer for finance.
Is he a member of ISPAC?
No.
Okay. Which profession is he, if you don't mind?
He's not a CPA, but he's a finance person.
He's a finance person. Chair, it was also signed off by CPA Joshua Machakusi.
He's here.
Or the gentleman seated next to you, Director of Accounting Services, ISPAC number 12128. You are a chair, maybe so that I yield back the mic. Bwana CPA Joshua, you agree with me that this was material non-disclosure by not disclosing the contingent liabilities through the chair?
Yes, but
No, don't use but.
I'm saying but because you can only disclose contingent liabilities if you are provided details of the disclosure.
Yeah,
so from the accounting
efficiency of time,
yes,
we are, they say numbers don't lie. Let's just what is there.
yes.
You agree with me? This entity has contingent liabilities.
It has.
Review.
It has.
You didn't disclose.
We didn't disclose, but we were not.
Not, but I'm using what is there, the evidence.
Okay, it was not disclosed, but we can be able to disclose this financial year.
Chair, no. What I'm asking, Chair, if you allow me, you didn't disclose, which is you have agreed. So you agree as a profession you failed in your duty.
No, I didn't fail my duty. You can only provide disclosure in the financial statement to the extent of the information given by the relevant department, like the county attorney. If I've not been given that there's a county contingent liability that is due or that is going to be placed.
Order. We will not take that direction. Even here in Parliament, there's something we say we take judicial notice of events. You cannot give that argument. Note 42 in the financial statement, in the template provided by the Public Sector Accounting Standards Board, Note 42 has even given you the table there for you to disclose contingent assets and contingent liabilities. And there's a table for contingent assets, and below that, contingent liabilities. You went through it and put it at 0. So I think sometimes it's important to own up when you have messed up as a professional. You don't need to defend the indefensible. And just make sure that in the audit that we are going into, those contingent liabilities that have been cited by the county attorney are disclosed. Governor, I hope we are on the same page. I agree
with you, Chair, and we have actually every time had it in our accounts. We have discussed not once the issue of the contingent liability with that Kilimanjaro law thing in Amboseli. So I am also taken aback about it, and we will make it good by reporting it.
Fine. Members, we need to get out of this matter.
Chair,
and
because
if we don't manage time, we still have other meetings.
Chair, I think maybe you woke up very well today on the right side of the bed. Because naturally, when a profession commits a professional offense or professional error, the consequences follow. So maybe the CEO should be warned that this material non-disclosure normally attracts some punitive measures from the committee, and I think they should be aware, any profession that accompanies the governor, so that they don't allow the governor to be like Jesus Christ, of carrying all the burdens of people who are not doing their job.
Okay, you just spoke ahead of me because I was going to summarize our resolution on this. There was an earlier indicated non-disclosure of staff payables, which we have agreed that you must provide clarity on the exact amounts owed to staff. That was a material non-disclosure, and the issue of contingent liabilities is also another material non-disclosure. Members, I think we must take a resolution to the House that no county should carry debt older than 2 years. Because under what circumstance would a county owe someone for more than 2 years when every year religiously we pass the division of revenue and every year we pass CARA? Why should counties sit with debt over 2 years? And this is a conversation we must have with the Treasury. And I know that there's been a proposal that maybe pending bills should be paid centrally at the National Treasury. The governors will say we are clawing back on devolution, but they're also not doing devolution a favor because they're receiving the money and not paying service providers. Auditor General, you must also question compliance with Regulation 25(1)(d) of the PFM county government regulations. When we looked at the report of CIA, you did a very good job because you queried the debt to revenue ratio in CIA and referred to that regulation 25(1)(b) that says the county public debt should never exceed 20% of county total revenues at any one time. You know that exists in law. It exists in regulation. What Kajiado is carrying is more than 50% of its total revenue. As we are saying that the cash disbursement is not a suggestion, the regulation should also not be a suggestion. So Auditor, we would expect that you'd be querying the debt to revenue ratio for all the county governments. Because we put it there, we put it at 20%, we are questioning the national debt to revenue ratio, but we are not questioning the county debt to revenue ratio. In fact, I think if we put all that in totality, we'll realize that Kenya is doing very badly. So maybe in this year's audit, Patrick, please tell all your regional directors to report on that particular metric.
Well, good, Chair.
So we will look at this in greater detail in the coming financial year. Due to limitations of time, we can leave that matter on trade payables and perhaps deal with one other matter on the executive. And maybe just to illustrate what I'm saying about debt to revenue ratio, there are also other ratios that have been queried there in your report. Development expenditure threshold, which do not look very good. Your employee costs to total revenue is almost 50%, isn't it, Governor?
About 40.
Because I can see you are spending 4 billion on employees out of a revenue of 8 billion. So that's 50%.
Yeah, it's still not very tidy. It's not 50%, but it requires to be worked out.
What you're putting in development is only 22% of the total expenditure.
Chair, I know development is supposed to be 30%, and we should be able to work that one out.
Okay, we'll look at how those ratios perform in the coming audit. We were asking ourselves whether the county government headquarters complex is complete now.
Chair, that's a very long story.
So, if it is a long story, let's shorten it by looking at the specific
Chair,
issue raised by the Auditor General.
No answer. If a building is complete, it's complete, Governor.
Sorry, Chair?
If a building is complete, it's complete. It's a question of fact. I mean, it's a yes or no answer.
It is no.
So it's not complete.
We have even terminated the contract. That's why I'm saying it is a long story.
I think let's deal with it. It's worth dealing with because it's a matter of 492 million. That's quite significant. That 492 million could have settled the debt over 3 years that we have just seen in the other matter. Auditor General, read your finding.
Thank you, Chair. Delayed construction of county government headquarters complex. The county executive awarded a contract for the construction of the county government of Kajiado headquarters complex at a contract sum of Kenya shillings 492,646,852. The contract agreement was signed on 20th June 2024, and the contract was to be implemented within 104 weeks, commencing 15th November 2024 to 15th November 2026. Documents reviewed revealed that the contractor was paid Kenya shillings 98,529,370, being an advance amount paid at the rate of 20% of the contract sum. Procurement documents revealed that the project consultant by letter number SDS CGK/06/25 of 17th March 2025 had raised concerns in relation to delayed works. The letter noted that as of 13th February 2025, with 4 months, 16 weeks of the contract period lapsed, only 2% of the total works had been accomplished, signaling delayed works and the need for revision of the work plan. Management explained that the delay in execution of the works by the contractor was occasioned by site challenges which were raised by the contractor, and that the consultant issued instructions to the contractor to proceed with works as the challenges had been resolved. However, project inspection by the audit team in May 2025 revealed that there were no works going on as the contractor had abandoned the project. In addition, the foundation works were not completed and heaps of metallic materials for binding works and erection of pillars were left lying all over the site. In the circumstances, contract management was not effective and could lead to substantial losses. Thank you, Chair.
Governor?
Thank you, Chair. Chair,
that is page?
This page 29.
29.
Page 29, that's the response. The other, what she was reading is in page 28. Chair, we should respond that the delays in the execution of the works by the contractor was occasioned by site challenges which were raised by the contractor but had not been fully addressed by the consultant, as it involved possible design alteration and change in quantities of work to be done. In response to a letter by the contractor dated 22nd May 2025, the CCM for Roads and Public Works convened a joint meeting between all relevant county departments, the consultant and the contractor. The CCM for Roads also officially appointed a contract implementation working group that was charged to oversee the seamless implementation of the project. The meeting resolved to carry out joint measurements and come up with a solution to the substructure works challenge. Following the conclusion of the exercise by the CCM Roads, a letter was issued on 23rd June 2025 to the consultant informing them of the resolution of the contract implementation working group. The consultant issued instructions to the contractor to proceed with works as the matter had been resolved. The contractor failed to honor instructions to go back to site, which necessitated the management to initiate a termination process since the contractor violated the terms agreed by the parties during contracting. A letter was issued by the Ministry of Roads and a litigation case against the contractor, and therefore a termination letter was issued to the contractor. We have annexures, I think this is 15, showing performance security guarantee that actually was the basis for the payment of the 98 million, and that advance payment guarantee renewal. The Chief Officer for Roads and Public Works instructions to the contractor, a letter appointing contract implementation working group, instruction letter to the substructure works. The information we are raising there, we are showing that the conversation we have had there has all been procedurally done. Unfortunately, we now have terminated that, and the next phase will be to see then how to bring the whole issue to a closure, assess the works done, the money payment, and see how to, if the work done is more than the money that was paid. And because there were also guarantees in the bank, we see to it that we don't lose any money in the process. I wish to submit this, Chairman.
So, Governor, you have paid 20%, but only 2% is done.
That is the question of measurement we referred earlier on there to determine the measurement of really what has been done. But remember, there was this bond, that guarantees that the bank secure the county money that is to be spent.
Chair, in that explanation that the governor has given, it's quite confusing, Governor. Do these consultants and the contractors visit sites prior to bidding for projects? And number two, this language we are using, both for the auditor and yourself, it doesn't paint a picture of what those challenges were.
Yeah, it's very technical.
Yeah. It's just technical language. I mean, does somebody visit a site, a proposed site, before they do a bid? Or you just bid, then you realize that the proposed site is inside Lake, what is that lake in Ambose? Lake Magadi. And then you have to clear the salt first. I mean, it doesn't make any sense, Governor. What is the process?
Yes, Governor?
Let me ask the head of procurement with us here to in a very summarized way to show that procurement.
Let him just explain, number one, whether the bidders or even the consultants and the county government themselves go to the site before they do the tendering, and number two, what those challenges were in layman's terms, so that your regular Masai.
Thank you, Chair. The requirement for bidding in the bid documents that we instructed all the bidders to visit site, and there was a site visit before the bidders submitted their bids, and they actually visited the site before they submitted their bids.
So what is this arising about site challenges which require alterations?
That is the issue to do with the execution of work, which was being done and dealt by the engineers on site.
What were the challenges? Did you arrive there and find that it's a swamp or what? What were the challenges?
Chair, let me ask the technical officer, Tutui, who is the CEO for Public Works.
Technical issues that arise on site came up in the matter of levels. During the construction of the building, we had different levels that had been designed for, and as we were implementing, we realized that the building will be less than the road level. And due to this, we had to make a decision on whether to raise the entire building by another 2 meters or convert the space into a basement. This had not been taken care of in the original designs, and it is part of technical works or implementation of projects that when certain site challenges occur, there are technical procedures to come in to address them. So these were the challenges. The consultants had designed the building to be lower than the road level, and during our inspection, we realized that and instructed that the building cannot be lower because of groundwater.
Can you also speak to the issue of advance amount paid? Because I know generally a contract like this, certificates, payment would be upon issuance of certificates. Is Treasury here? What's a general procedure? Because I know there's a time when you had this situation of advance payments, and it caused a lot of problems because someone would pocket the 20% and disappear. And if I'm not wrong, there could have been some regulations that then required such works to be paid upon certification. Is there some provision in law around that?
And as I check, Chair, so that you don't lose the trail, who was this person who was doing this design that ends up that the building is lower than the road? Who are doing that design? I mean, it's like from a professional point of view, really. I mean, that is proper professional misconduct.
Yes, proceed.
Thank you, Chair. The building was designed by a consulting firm, Scope Architects, Scope Consultants, and we had an agreement with them. So they were contracted to do the entire design, architectural, structural, and all the MEPs.
And were paid for that great job?
There is a separate agreement for it. We have not 100% paid. They were paid for the preliminary designs. The payment schedules were based on deliverables or milestones. So first milestones were the preliminary designs and the tender documents. The other milestones were pegged on construction of the project. So
they also go to site before they design, or they are sitting in a studio somewhere in
Yes, they have gone to site, as the director for procurement had said. They attended the site. So as the clients or the technical arm of the clients, we realized that and asked them to we cannot accept a building that is lower than the main road level.
A building lower than the road. I mean, how sure are we that they didn't use ChatGPT to design it?
It's crazy. It's wasted.
It's crazy.
That is true, Chair. That is why the technical team on the client side, that is the county government in public works, when we checked it, we raised questions, and that's what caused the delay. The consultants took...
So you have all those design challenges, but you're still paying 20% upfront before work has begun, and you have all those design issues. What is the logic?
Chair, the 20%, if you look at the contract and scrutinize it, the 20% was envisaged as an advance payment in the contract. And the county government followed the legal procedures to make the advance payment against an advance payment bank guarantee.
But
so the advance
they delivered only 2%.
That is where I'm going, Senator, if I may.
Address the chair.
Sorry, Chair. So what has happened, apologies, Chair, for that. Chair, so what happened is that the county government paid an advance payment against advance payment guarantee, which was stipulated in the contract at 20%. This advance payment guarantee is to be recovered with the subsequent certificates. That means in the subsequent certificates that are raised, when any payment is above already the 20%, you start recovering, and by the time you are at 80%, the county government should have recovered the entire advance payment of 20%. So this is a legal document or legal contract that was entered to with the contractor. So the fact that the site only about 2%, as of the time the auditors visited site, is the actual situation on site, and we had not made any interim certificate for the same. So the only payment that was there was the advance payment.
Now that the contract has been terminated, how do you get the money? Because there will be no certificates moving forward. How do we get our money?
Let me ask finance to take it up in procurement.
Can I add, Chair, so that
Senator Cherake.
Governor, how much was the consultant paid for that work, for that shoddy work? Number two, I've seen in Spentech, Spentech Engineering Limited, he wrote a letter on 22nd May 2025. I think a year or after later, he was requesting for variation, number one. Number two, he was arguing that different levels between BQ, bill of quantities, and actual site condition. So my question, which follow up on Senator Sifuna said, was there due diligence of the procuring or your tender committee? Because any procurement process, when you have a site, you must visit the ground. And in fact, it is advertised that on this day, the people interested in looking for a contract, because some of us are experts, you must be on site to assess. So the question on this letter, why would they argue on the site condition vis-a-vis the BQ? Finally, Chair, my third and final question, I have seen the termination, notice of termination by, as Governor, you have indicated, you have told them to stop all the works immediately, make the site safe and secure, and leave the site as soon as reasonably possible. So give us the status as per the clause 57.4 of the general conditions. And finally, that all materials on site, plant, equipment, temporary work shall be deemed to be the property of the procuring entity, which I believe is the county government of Kajiado, owing to your default person to clause 59 of the general conditions of the contract. So when they left the site, are all these detention of the plant and the machinery and everything that was on site, is it still there? And does it mean, to tie up with Senator Maruma's question, that this 20% advance payment of 98 million plus will be used to recover through detention of these site equipments and plant that is already on site? Thank you, Chair. Yield back the mic.
Chair, let me ask the head of procurement, because he's the one involved, or rather the department is more involved, and particularly to focus on the question of how safe is the deposit paid. And so, Philip, please pick it up.
Thank you, Chair. I'll answer two questions, and then I'll hand over to County Attorney to answer the issue of contracting. On the issue of consultant, we have only paid 30%. Again, We did all
Sorry, Chair, 30% of what?
30% of bidded amount.
Of 492 million?
No, on the consultant.
30% of what?
Of the consultant fee.
How much?
It was around, the contract sum was around 26 million and we paid 8 million.
There is nothing called around in mathematics.
Yeah, that's the amount figure there. Okay. And then for...
So it's 26 million that was paid?
Yes.
Okay.
And then...
30% of 26 million.
Yes.
So that's how much?
Around 8 million.
8 million. So the rest has not been paid?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then for the issue of due diligence concerning the consultant and the contractor, actually we did carry out all the due diligence based on the public procurement laws, and we found that they are suitable to carry out the assignment that we have given them. On the issue of contractual termination, the county attorney office is dealing with it, and you can be able to advise us on the process that have taken.
Concern, Governor, was have you secured the place, and did they leave their machinery as you have indicated in your termination notice? Who takes care? Because I can see in your termination notice you are also telling them to make it safe and secure. How sure are you if you tell them through the chair safe and secure, they can sneak away their machinery? So is it as per you have indicated in your notice of termination through the chair?
Although the fenced, the site had, was all secured and fenced, and I will ask the technical officer Lekina later. Let's get a bit of more information on the contract, to get clarity on how will the county not lose money paid to this contractor. Attorney.
Thank you, Chair. We did get involved when we discovered that there were no works that were going on. We took up the matter and did a notice of termination on 28th May this year. After we did the notice of termination, we also did a notice of claim, and we also wrote to the arbitrator, because the contract now provides that we go for arbitration when we have such a dispute. The Chartered Institute wrote to us on 20th June, on 7th June, and now the matter is fully ceased with the arbitrator. Our strategy is, one, this contractor did not maintain a security of the 98 million. The contractor also did not utilize the money that was paid. So those are the issues where we have brought before the arbitrator, and we will be seeking a refund of the money minus the works that will be ascertained by the arbitrator.
The contractor did not maintain security?
Yes, there was a bit of...
I thought that's a condition precedent to the advance payment. I've just seen the legal counsel has just shown us that yes, advance payment is okay, but there are some guarantees.
Yes.
There are some guarantees that should be there. So there was no guarantee at the point.
There was a guarantee for the first year.
Refer to your letter dated 30th of June 2025, signed by Lekina Tutui, addressed to the Director, Spentech Engineering Limited. The letter that says that both guarantees have lapsed and we have neither received the guarantees, renewals, nor any communication from you regarding the same. Was this letter responded to? And are there guarantees? Because this letter of 30th June that you have attached here.
It was not responded to.
So there is no guarantee was maintained. So how will you get your money back?
The payment was made against a bank guarantee, unless there will be negligence on our part. That was the condition for payment of the initial down payment.
But this letter indicates that both guarantees have since lapsed.
So that is the question of contention, because the contractor is supposed to only work with the bank guarantee, and therefore those form the basis upon which some of the cause for this termination. But the main contract stipulates the conditions for, the payments for the money, and that is a contract which the arbitrator will use to deal with this matter. But
Now,
let me ask the technical officer handling this King again.
Maybe because of time, and since this is an ongoing matter, Governor, you said approach. But whether legal or illegal, it delivered her a county headquarters in 6 months without all this nightmare. What was your conclusion after that benchmark visit to Homa Bay?
It's quite unlikely that we did the visit to Homa Bay. I think you're referring to Narok. I had my Narok colleague talking about going to
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it was Narok. Yeah, it was Narok. My apologies.
Yeah.
So it was Narok.
But Chair, for you, it is you know, you cannot use Homa Bay if the issue of county headquarters, what they spend on what they borrowed was very unfortunate.
No, I think I withdraw it because I mistook Kajiado for Narok. Yeah, I think it was Narok that went to Homa Bay. Yeah, because you see, you have all these. This is a mess. This thing, perhaps you leave office without it being complete, because since 2024 to date, only 2% has been done, and 90 million has been paid, and it will start looking like a scandal. People will start talking of the white elephants you left behind. And yet there's another county that has found an ingenious way of delivering a county headquarters. Of course, there are questions around legality, there are questions about value for money, but at least there's something you can see within 6 months. So maybe it's something that as a committee, as we interrogate the matter of Homa Bay, we must put also these into context. If the Homa Bay route is legal, and if the Homa Bay route is value for money, we can recommend it for other counties. Senator Muruma.
Chair, lastly for me, I would want to know, because now we are learning this devolution space, what would be the circumstances or special circumstances that would lead or would necessitate us to give advance payment in when you're doing our contracts. I've seen that in KIPES, where advance payment is given, then the contractor starts working. And these bank guarantees you're talking about, what is the nature of the bank guarantees that we give, so that then we don't lose money? Or if it's a good thing, then other counties can also borrow from Kajiado. The same way we are saying that counties need to borrow from Homa Bay.
Governor?
I think evolution is providing some practices. Every county will have a story to say on this we have done, has not done well there. We still think that the Homa Bay headquarters within the time delivered is something very nice, that if it can be tidied up a few loose ends, may actually provide a benchmark. Our big lesson here, in my opinion, will possibly be how not to do the county headquarters. When we land into termination, arbitration, going to court, is definitely a big lesson of what could have gone wrong. But it also casts a question of who is this contractor? Because sometimes in some instances we find raw contractors, people impersonating or showing their ability that is not truly the case. So there will be no doubt that in every circumstance there will be lesson learned, good practices, and how not to do some businesses. That's really my take on these two incidences. Thank you.
Auditor, we keep this in view, but again, as you've said, you've summarized it well. This is a lesson on how not to do it. Because if you pay a contractor 90 million and they're still not able to do the job, it's as if you have financed the job and the job is still not delivered. So there could be perhaps some other vested interests that then complicate the execution. I think what we have seen in other counties is that the advance payment does not go to the contractor. The advance payment is treated as cost of acquisition of the business, and the money is shared with the boys, and then the contractor remains with nothing to deliver. So that is speculative, but we'll want to ask the Auditor General to keep this in view and look at it properly, thoroughly, and ensure that we are able to recover the money if the contractor is not going to deliver.
Chair, maybe one quick final. Governor, now that you have terminated the contract in the construction of the county headquarters, And I know either you or the next governor would need a more space to deliver service to wananchi. Now that you have issued termination notice, are you likely to tender for a new contractor to do it, or it's now off the table? Thank you, Chair.
I think that will not be for this. It's very likely to the next administration.
Okay, let's keep that in view. Now, very quickly, we had said we needed to get a high-level update on two very critical matters that affect Kajiado and that relate to the receiver of revenue reports. The last time you were here, Governor, we had serious issues around the receiver of revenue statement. I can see the number of issues have reduced on that report, but without going into the nitty-gritties, please give us an update on Amboseli. I think it's in the public domain that certain proclamations have been made that Kajiado ought to collect revenue from Amboseli PAC.
Sorry, in a very highly summarized way, just to bring to speed the conversation of Amboseli, and I'm saying summarize because I'll try and really make it a summary. Amboseli historically is a national game reserve, not a national park. And records to that effect exist. And in 1974, two leaders conflicted and the national government they take over the park temporarily to resolve this dispute. Temporary has become 52 years plus. Fast forward. The Man Nation has been petitioning every president about Amboseli. You saw in 2005, President Kibaki gave Amboseli back to the people of Kajiado. To the best of our knowledge, Kibaki must have gone to rest thinking that he finished that business. But vested interest, Amboseli is a big cash cow for researchers, international, tourist institutions, and then it just got buried. Quickly, President Ruto came to the scene. Takes effect 1st of July this year. Come 1st of July this year, which was last week, the county government went to site to pick their 50% share of revenue. And KWS said, no, we have no instructions. And these are armed agencies, security agencies, so the county staff were told, go away. That is where we are within the Amboseli, and just this week, I led a high-level team from the county government and the community leaders who gave out an additional 1 million acres to allow wildlife dispersal area. Amboseli Park is only 82,000 acres. The community, in the transition period of between 2023 and 2025, gave an additional 1 million acres because the park is just like a small wetland. So the community has come forward to say, where is the money for our 1 million acres? And I went to ask that question, and I'm asking that question, how does KWS come and outrightly defy the presidency? What are we going to tell the community that has given an additional 1 million acres that you have no money because KWS have said no to it? So I am as baffled as you all look like, that it cannot be. What country have we become?
You have the benefit of having been CS for Interior. You understand government. What is this instruction that KWS is looking for that is not available?
And before Governor maybe answers, Chair, there was a committee that was to midwife that transfer from National Game Reserve to management of the county. What was the mandate of that committee? And did it have KWS represented? And so where are they waiting for instructions from in order to give you that revenue?
Yeah, what's that instrument?
That is the question we are asking now as the county government of Kajiado. That task force, led by Engineer Maliti, had KWS in the board, had the Attorney General Office, had 28 government agencies involved in this, of course, and the Ministry of Tourism, and ourselves as the county government of Kajiado. Citizen participation was done for all the 47 counties, and a resounding verdict of yes, Kajiado is a national reserve was the result of that verdict. Even all the playing international NGOs in the ecosystem, because the Maasais were saying, okay, keep the park, get out your animals out of our farms. Because the international community knows that there is no park, it's just a wetland that is being called a park. The wildlife are in the community land. Everybody agreed that this community must have a stake in this Amboseli. And therefore we are all asking, what are these instruments that the president gave, including symbols of animals in Amboseli that were handed to me on the 8th of November 2025, signifying that the transition has completed. 23rd August 2023 to 8th November 2026 was the period within which all those legal hurdles were complied with. And therefore, the Man Nation, the people are saying, we will go back to the park and take our park from KWS.
Okay, before we go that route, because I know they're armed with spears and all those sorts of things. What is a legal requirement? Let's because National Park, National Reserve, it's about categorization, gazettement, etc. So there's a legal requirement. What is that legal requirement that we have fallen short on that is leading to this standoff?
And in addition, when there was handing over of Amboseli by the national government to the county government of Kajiado, what was it being handed over? Because from your submissions through the chair, you have insisted that the national government then, in the 70s, was just to be a temporary custodian. So what was handed over? And is there legal instruments?
In the 1940s, the then colonial government designated some areas as national parks and some as game reserve. The difference is, in a national park, it is purely for wildlife and no human coexistence. In a game reserve, people live side by side with wildlife. That is the case of Amboseli. Because we are saying Amboseli is only 80,000 acres, it's nothing for a national park. It is the community that is carrying the weight of the wildlife. And therefore, when that squabble happened, the Constitution of Kenya recognizes that the national park under Schedule 4 is for national government, the game reserve is for county government. And that is why Masai Mara, Samburu Game Reserve and all those belong to the county governments. That is the petition the people of Kajiado have. And that's what has been determined as the rightful case. So, to answer the question of what was handed over in November 2025, the president issued a proclamation that this historical injustice have been corrected, and I hereby hand over the management of the park to the county government of Kajiado. There are no documents to show that Amboseli is a national park. It was an executive order of President Kenyatta that gave it out, that cannot be traced either. And therefore, what President Ruto has done is to give the same executive order. So that is where we are.
Governor, you're not addressing the legal. Probably would see a 1 billion or a few hundred millions coming in here to finance your operations. That's why we are having this conversation.
Let me ask the
governor goes. You know, we have a similar circumstance in Taita Taveta, where the president makes a similar edict that the share between Taita Taveta and Tsavo National Park would be 50-50. But there was no framework. When I asked you about the mandate of that task force, I thought it was to align that edict, the presidential directive, to a framework which exists, or if it doesn't exist, then they look for it so that it's aligned. I know there's a section, is it 37 of the Wildlife Management Act, that talks about downgrading of national parks to game reserves. I thought that is what the task force was doing. So in that task force, if they did not align that transfer, that directive to existing laws, or if the existing laws are not well aligned, then they be spruced up so that they align. What was that task force doing?
Governor?
I don't want us to go the legal way in this case, because a law was later on to be passed in Parliament. In this particular task force, the President pronounced himself to that effect. And that is why the handing over for Amboseli was the management of Amboseli. IGRTC, the Intergovernmental Technical Relation Committee that deals with transfer of functions or sharing of functions, there are a number of instances where some functions were taken over by one level of government from the other because the other one is better placed to implement the same. That IGRTC framework is what was used in these instances, pending, for example, a passing of a comprehensive legislation. But allow me, Chair, to answer the question of Tsavo, making a claim of the community, Taveta community making a claim about their parks. I referred earlier on to the delineation of national parks in the 1940s. Nakuru, Nairobi, Tsavo, East and West, and all those were called national parks. The Constitution is very clear about national parks. They belong to national government. But the President came and said, because even in these national parks, communities are bearing the brand of this wildlife. People are being killed, their farms are being eaten, all this. So the community neighboring these national parks should get 50% of revenue. So that is the framework which the Honorable Senator for Taita Taveta need to pursue, because it is in recognition of the fact that this wildlife are harming these economies, harming these people, killing these people, eating their livestock, eating their shambas. What do they get in return? And we all said this is a good cause, because this wildlife are our national heritage. A way must be found to allow them space, but also do not disadvantage communities that are living with them. This wildlife are generating substantial amount of money. Masai Mara, for example, rakes in between 4 to 5 billion from Narok County, gets between 4 to 5 billion shillings from Masai Mara. We all know that Amboseli gets well over 3 billion annually, and therefore there is money from this wildlife that communities must benefit from. Of course, the biggest national parks in terms of revenues will be Mara number 1, Amboseli number 2, Nakuru number 3, Savannah, those statistics exist somewhere. So I hope I have clarified.
No, you have gone the political route. Let's go back to the lawful route, because it is easy to say the president proclaimed, but our job as a committee is to ensure that even those presidential proclamations, for them to take effect, there has to be adherence to the law. The president can say we shall tarmac this road, but procurement needs to pursue certain processes. We want to see the 3 billion in this ROR, and that's why we are having this conversation. And I think you didn't answer the question that Senator Maruma asked, because there was a task force that was supposed to ensure that the presidential proclamation is effected within the confines of the law. Can you, I don't know, your county attorney is itching to say something.
Governor, Chair, in addition to that, I've heard you have said that the community, which I want to believe through the Chair, because we are looking at the receiver of revenue, and we thought when you get Amboseli, revenue from Amboseli, it will even resolve the issue of pending bills and running of the county. You have indicated that the community donated, which I want to believe the regime of ownership of land in Kajiado is communal land. You have said the community added the Amboseli 1 million acres. So maybe in answering what the Senator Maruma is asking, then were you handing over to the task force or now to the county government, which is the custodian? How did you hand over these 1 million acres to ensure that, and we agree with you, we want to protect wildlife, you want to get revenue, we want you to run the Amboseli to get more revenue for the development of the county. So when you say you added 1 million acres, and you are saying the same people, community who gave out the land are now demanding, where is the value for the 1 million we added for the Amboseli? So maybe you can add that.
So let's take it in two steps. Let's first understand what it is that you have done or that you have not done to ensure the 3 billion reflects in your statements. Because you see, even if KWS was managing the PAC, but it is your asset, you can designate KWS as a collector of revenue. They can be collecting on your behalf. I think that's a framework that is allowable. You don't have to send your people there to collect the revenue. You can do an MOU with them as collector of revenues, reporting to your receiver of revenue. But County Attorney, what is it that you have not done to ensure that this matter?
I think I will deal with this matter, Chair.
Okay, Governor.
Not the county
Okay, so deal with the law, not the politics.
Yes.
You have explained the politics well.
When this pronouncement by the President, the head of public service was tasked to midwife the process. The head of public service have in several occasions sat with KWS, with ourselves, all the legal processes, Office of the Attorney General, until a whole comprehensive document was generated indicating the legal processes. That's what I referred earlier on as the citizen participation. All that is in a document. And therefore, I think the question of how has the legal way gone by is not my question. I think it's the question of the head of public service. And it is only upon completion of that they can ask the President to come and perform the ceremony they have done. So while I agree that there is a bit of a political conversation of it, there is also the technical completion of the process. That's the process I referred as 2023 up to 2025.
So that is complete?
That is complete. And that is only the basis upon which the President can be asked to come and hand over the PAC.
So what is KWS, a national government agency, asking for when a task force, presidential proclamation, the head of public service, and all that have arrived at a conclusion that effective 1st of July, Kajiado takes over? What is it?
Please call them to come and explain to you.
No. They must have told you. They must have told you that there is something that you need to provide them with.
Yeah, really. You know, I am to believe that this committee is looking for the truth about the matter. We have provided our battle of the truth. To ask me to answer the question of KWS chair is unfair.
No, you said it on record that when you went there on 1st of July,
KWS said no.
You were told no. Is that
yes?
Is it something documented that can allow us even to call KWS, because this is money that should go to the county government of Kajiado?
Yes, we should. I would encourage the committee, as you always visit to see incomplete projects or issues, to visit Amboseli.
That is one way, Chair. But Chair, also, why can't we invite the governor and KWS here on a round table? And number two, Chair, what is the position of presidential proclamations in law? Because I thought when the president, who has executive powers, orders something to happen, it should just happen. Me, that's what I've been thinking. And we have lawyers here, Senator Dulo, Senator Cherarigei. What is the position of presidential proclamations in matters implementation of law?
I just wanted to find out whether KWS was part of the process of the handing over, or rather maybe preparing the handing over. Were they part of it?
It is in the glaring of international cameras and everybody When they're handing over the insignia of wildlife and everything to the Minister of Tourism, who handed over to me. It was all in public.
No, those who prepared the documents, I'm sure the task force that was created was to go through the legal process of handing over. And I believe KWS should have been part of the team. So my question is, were they part of the team when you are sitting down with AG and other relevant agencies to come up with the document?
They were.
Members, what I wanted to suggest, in view of the other meetings we have, that our clerks will write a letter to KWS and the governor of Kajiado to appear before this committee in 14 days, so that we can have this matter discussed. It is our duty as a Senate to defend and protect counties and their governments. And I think this is a serious responsibility we have, because we want to see that 3 billion going to the county government of Kajiado. Governor?
Chair, it is correct to write to KWS, but not to me and them, because I was handed over the park by the president. And therefore it is KWS to come and explain why they divide the presidential directive.
No, we want to have the truth. You see, right now you're accusing KWS. They have no right of reply. I want the head of the county government of Kajiado. It was not handed to Lenku. It was handed over to the county government of Kajiado. The county government of Kajiado must be in the room, and KWS must be in the room to explain to the country why they cannot abide by the proclamation and the resolutions of the technical working group. Is that fair enough? So that we can, because at this point we'll just be accusing...
I'll come and report whether I've taken over the park on the 1st of July.
Chair, maybe in addition, Chair, maybe in addition, is there a possibility
Actually, I think we have a better suggestion. We'll need to call the cabinet secretary.
Correct, that is what I wanted to propose. And is there possible to indicate to the cabinet secretary to be accompanied by KWS and the task force, so that we raise that matter? And I want to agree, and also the Attorney General, because that's an independent office, the CS for wildlife, and also task force, so that we can sit together with the county government of Kajiado, because presidential proclamation should just be the law, because the process should
I think, honorable members, we are in agreement that we shall prosecute this matter comprehensively in a separate meeting. It is extremely important. Due to time...
So that we can have maybe that addition, because Taita Taveta is also pursuing its benefit, which was given through a presidential proclamation. Why? From the same, no, now it's Savo. Why can't we have then also the governor of Taita Taveta?
I think that is now as a committee to organize ourselves in terms of correspondence, but at least now we are agreeing with the governor that this matter requires a proper, thorough inquiry. The other significant revenue stream for Kajiado is a matter that we have discussed here repeatedly, is the issue of Magadi. And the last time you appeared, your county attorney informed us that there was a ruling that was coming up either that day or the following day. And so we agreed to wait for that ruling. Could you give us an update on Magadi, whether you have been able to collect the revenue?
Thank you, Chair. Let me ask the county attorney to come on this Magadi issue.
Thank you, Excellency. Honorable Chair, yes, we did receive a judgment by the Court of Appeal. Honorable Chair, it didn't go in our favor, and we have since appealed to the Supreme Court for final determination of that matter.
What was the decision of the court in the matter, in the Court of Appeal?
The Court of Appeal, just to give a history, the High Court had actually ruled that we were entitled to the rates, and that the Finance Act 2014 was legal. So they appealed against the High Court judgment, but before that, the High Court had actually ordered arbitration before the CS Mining. They walked out of the arbitration and went to Court of Appeal. They are saying that they should not pay those rates because, first of all, they are saying that they have a lease with the national government, and they are disputing the form of rating. They are saying that there is lack of evaluation role, and the county government did not have evaluation role before 2014 because it was a local council. So there are issues of law that we have picked that will want the Supreme Court to clarify. One, there was no county government that had evaluation role in 2014. especially from local council. 2, Magadi is operating without a CDA. That is in the mining, the requirement in the Mining Act. 3, they are obstructing water, not paying any permits to the national and county government, and so many other issues to do with the community affairs. So we will want the Supreme Court to have a final determination on this matter.
If just out of curiosity, if what is in contention is the 2014 Finance Act of Kajiado, what does your current Finance Act require of persons who, are in possession of land?
Chair, this brings the question again about devolution and the ability to enforce the same. The High Court ruled that the Kajiado County Finance Bill 2014 was valid and therefore compliance is required. By law, every second year, a financial bill is prepared through citizen participation and all those processes, and people give their input. We have since made a number of finance bills, and investors always come to give their opinion and argue their case on what figure should be charged. And many a time, they do lobbies as associations, land associations, people in business, all that. And therefore, what we are claiming then was the money for the finance bill that time. Along the way, the land rates will keep changing. So the more recent finance bill will have different land rates, unlike the previous one. In some instances, you'll find the rates going up and down, depending on circumstances, depending on the lobbies that are being put across, and also on how to spur business. So really, if we are able to support county governments to enforce the laws they make, the argument that county government should be able to collect sufficient on-source revenue to reduce, they are going to the National Treasury to always begging for more funding. That is the question earlier on we referred to. Yes, counties have potential to do more, but we need to reinterrogate our legal framework whether it is fully supportive of that.
Are they complying with the current Finance Act?
No, they're not. They're not complying with any. They are saying we are in court, they are not.
And
if the two levels of government were working together, they will have nowhere to hide. They continue to draw support from national government and therefore weakening the space of county government. In protecting devolution, the two levels of government must work together to help the county governments grow to a level where they can stand on their own. Thank you.
Senator Muruma?
I'm wondering, Chair, if it is for a fact that before 2014, the county government of Kajiado had no valuation role. I thought there was some outdated old valuation role in 2014. And maybe which valuation role is Kajiado using now to charge the rateable land in Kajiado?
There are many ways to charge land rates. Of course, the main one is the valuation roll. And we are now at the tail end of completing the preparation of a valuation roll that we've been working on for the last 3-4 years. So soon we'll have a more valid valuation roll.
My question is, like in my county, we're using the 2006 valuation roll. Is it for a fact that Kajiado has no valuation roll at all that is working, that you must just use the Finance Act?
Of course, that could have been part of the issues for determination at the Court of Appeal, isn't it? The last time you were here, we had said we were going to do an inquiry on the matter. The reason why we didn't move was because the matter was still in court and we had not been properly briefed on the outcome of the court process. Now, you have indicated that you have gone, because now that you're done, you've lost at the Court of Appeal, you have moved to the Supreme Court.
Attorney?
Yes, Chair, because there are some constitutional issues that have not been resolved at the Court of Appeal.
Okay.
Yes.
I think legal, Mitch, you will need to review the decision of the Court of Appeal and then update us on what matters are before the Supreme Court, and what matters we can interrogate as a committee or as a Senate. What would be the revenue potential if this entity was to pay rates as per the current Finance Act? What would be the annual revenue?
Let me check whether the receiver of revenue, Vera, what will be our annual revenue from Magadi? As she gets ready, Chair, Magadi currently occupies 240,000 acres of land. The lake, which has the mineral trona that they get this mineral from, is about 8,000 acres. The court ruled that the lake area is not rateable because it's a mining thing, so the Mining Act will apply for that. So we are basically charging Magadi land rates that we are charging every citizen in Kajiado for the difference of about 220,000 acres. If you have a plot, Honorable Chair, here in Kajiado, there is a land rate we pay every year. And everybody is paying that. That is the rate we are contesting to say, this is not a mining area. This is a wildlife and livestock grazing space. Like every other citizen paying for their land rates, you must pay for it. And therefore, it will be quite substantial.
And for the record, many of these members here are paying rates to Kajiado.
Every year.
Senator Cherargei is a leader of our SACCO.
Yes.
And our SACCO has invested
invested heavily
in Kajiado. So even us, the senators, we are paying rates to Kajiado. Yeah. So why should there be certain exemptions?
Even Mama Mboga Chair, even a Mama Mboga with her plot is paying for the same.
Yes.
So to allow, this is what I was talking about, rogue investors, to allow a multi-million operating enterprise not to pay land rate is basically to sabotage the whole economy.
Have there been conversations of converting it into an SEZ?
Chair, can I give it global argument? Even in Nandi, we have similar situation where the multinational companies who own tea estates are paying the same land rates with ordinary wananchi. Yet it is more commercial and more viable because they should pay high. And you remember, Chair, on several occasions we have tried to increase the land rates for multinational companies that run most of the tea estates, even in Bomet, Kericho, Nandi, but they have refused. They want just to pay just like what we're arguing as ordinary landowners.
Yours are better than paying ordinary. Mine is paying zero.
Oh, okay, so
then yours is a serious historical injustice.
Members, order. I think I'm very concerned about time. What is that? Have you gotten the computation? How much?
580 million using the current Finance Act.
580 million.
Yes.
As annual.
Annual, yes.
How much are they paying currently?
Zero.
Yeah. And
okay, Senator Muruma.
Yeah, that was for the land rates, Governor. But also you mentioned that you have not been able to do the CDAC, Community Development Agreement Committee, for the Trona. What are the challenges? What is the CS Mining saying?
They have refused to participate in this. It is a question of enforcement. If the CS Mining denies them licenses and stops them from doing anything, they will come talking to all of us.
Okay, members, we have clearly demonstrated that if certain things were done properly, if the national government was playing along and supporting devolution, then Kajiado could potentially have additional revenue of about 3.5 billion Kenya shillings. 3 billion potentially from Amboseli, 500 million potentially from Magadi.
100% correct and more. Thank you.
So as we fight for counties to get more money from the center, we must also ensure that counties are optimizing their revenue at the bottom. And if there are legal bottlenecks, it is our duty as a Senate to help you to overcome those. But if they are just enforcement weaknesses, then it is your duty as a CEO of Kajiado to ensure enforcement.
So is it possible maybe for this committee, Swomoto, to invite the CS Mining to come and tell us the challenges he's facing in having that select committee so that Kajiado can benefit from the 1%?
Yes, legal, you'll prepare a brief on the matter, bearing in mind that there are some issues before the Supreme Court, so that we are careful not to veer into things that have been sent to the Supreme Court for determination. And then we can schedule a meeting with the relevant CS and the governor.
Sorry for interrupting. I thought we had agreed that we'll do investigation into the issue of mining, and we were supposed to invite the CS of mining, if my memory serves me, even because Nandi we have similar issues where under the Mining Act and Rules and Regulations of 2015 they were supposed to do a community development agreement where they gazette community members and they get the local content of is it 2010 where 20 goes to county, the 10 goes to the local community. So I thought we had agreed we open an inquiry including Taita, Kajiado, Nandi, Kakamega. And you remember there is a problem around mining. You remember the Shanta gold issue and many others.
That's correct. Yes. I think we wrote to the CS. The CS wrote back. We invited the CS and it didn't appear, but I think he filed some response. We can take it up. We can take it up and follow it up. But for the specific case of Kajiado, the only reason why we didn't come to visit Magadi as we had proposed was because of the pending litigation, to ensure that we are not sub judice. But our legal team will look into the matter and guide us appropriately. Honorable members, we cannot go beyond this time because of the many meetings that we have scheduled today. The County Assembly has done a good job by looking at the nitty-gritties, particularly on projects. There's a long schedule there on projects. The County Assembly is in the best position to give an update on project implementation. The Auditor General is already on the ground for the 2025-2026 audit. If there's a matter that we have not dealt with conclusively, or a matter that the Assembly did not deal with conclusively, please make sure it remains as a prior year matter. And please, on the few issues that we have dealt with, give us a comprehensive report in the subsequent audit cycle. With that, we will have to close unless there are any closing remarks. Let me allow the governor to make his closing remarks.
Chair and honorable members, this has been a wonderful conversation. Absolutely many lessons taken on the undisclosed staff pending deductions and the other issues we indicated. We'll take it up very positively and we thank you for the guidance. It's gratifying to have this conversation about devolution. Being the custodian of devolution, we all have a duty as a country to relook at what is causing these massive pending bills, the difficulties counties are facing, without making it look like a political, problem, or even making people look bad that they oppose government. I think as a country we have an opportunity to relook at devolution because despite the challenges, the difficulties, the misgivings, devolution has brought a semblance or a sense of equity. It has brought a sense of equity. It needs to be strengthened because current bottlenecks of remitting or giving money for 5 years back is a very bad, thing that we continue to face. The people of Kajiado look upon you, Senate, to give us justice. This is our PAC. It is historically correct, and therefore we are happy that you are seized of the same, and we look forward to justice happening. Thank you, Chair and honorable members.
Honorable members, we will need to close just to encourage the governor that Kajiado is capable of taking care of itself without begging from Nairobi. In fact, Kajiado is capable of supporting and financing the national government because its proximity to Nairobi, its vast resources. All we need to do is to ensure that we enforce. All we need to do is to ensure that we are ambitious. All we need to do is to ensure that we are confident that the Constitution has created Kajiado as a government with the powers, that are there in the Constitution. So we should not be begging the government to hand over Amboseli when it is rightfully for the people of Kajiado. Begging the government to talk to an investor in Magadi, and yet that land is within Kajiado. So we want to encourage you to have that confidence, and the Senate will support you to ensure that you optimize your revenue, you get additional finances, but we shall also hold you to account on the expenditure of those additional resources. With that, this meeting is adjourned. Honorable members, I propose that as the delegation from Kajiado leaves, we convene immediately for our next meeting. We wish you a safe journey back home.
Thank you very much. Thank you.